Okay, what up, friendos? Welcome back. We're talking today about ashes of creation. This is a topic that's long overdue. There's some news here that's going to tie everything together, but specifically, I recorded a video about ashes and Stephen's reputation and some things I wanted to clear up and my opinion on ashes in general about 2 months ago. And I meant to release it, but originally I sent it to Stephen to be like, these are some very serious things I'm talking about. Have a look at it. Tell me if there's anything you think is objectively, factually untrue. Tell me if you have any comment on this that you want to get out into the public and things of that nature. And when I got his notes back, we had a conversation, and I just never got around to like re-editing the video to include all of his stuff. And I just figured, why bother, right? I don't really have anything to do with ashes anymore, and there's nothing really relevant going on right now other than a little bit of drama in the community. So I'll just not get involved. I'll just leave it as is. But since it is popular today to talk about ashes of creation due to the news that just came out, I figured let's do that video again and let's talk about it, because I am kind of sick of the narrative on social media being so slanted in one direction or another. Nobody doing any fact checking, everyone just repeating whatever they want to believe, and then other people upvoting them and spreading these lies or these rumors or denying things that are objectively true. So I figured I'd come in, bring the receipts, tell you exactly what the case is, and then you can make your own determination instead of listening to people on social media who have a reason to lie or have a reason to misrepresent things. So the news here is that Ashes of Creation is releasing on Steam Early Access on December 11th, 2025, so next month. I don't think this is a good idea. We're going to specifically go over this, as well as why I don't think it's a good idea, a little bit later in the video. But first, I want to talk about people's reaction to this and the general idea of who Stephen is and what Stephen has done, more importantly. Because people are of the opinion that Stephen is the worst person on the planet and he's a piece of shit scammer who essentially went to people having chemotherapy for cancer and tried to sell them a miracle drug, like the classic snake oil salesman just preying on the weak and ruining people's lives. And that didn't happen. And I think some people posting this, if you were a public figure, you'd be getting sued, rightfully so, because you're saying some crazy shit with no fucking fact checking whatsoever. But also, there are people on the other side that are saying Stephen did nothing at all, ever. Stephen's the best person. Stephen has addressed this. All he did was this little thing, and it's not a big deal. So let's actually get into the reality of things, shall we? This person posts, the only MMO I genuinely wish to completely fail. Stephen is a scam artist. He deserves no success. And then, of course, people are like, as always, whenever this comes up, people are saying, what's he done? You know, what's really happened? And then this guy comes in, 140 net upvotes, which means people have upvoted this more than they've downvoted it, to the point where this is a relatively high comment. And he's wrong. If you go to this link, you'll see that Stephen, Sharif, and his family, the Sharif family, are on there. SharifFamily.com, $7 million earned, present company Zango. This is undoubtedly true. Like, nobody's going to deny this. So he then says, Stephen used to run an MLM company. Not really true, but kind of true. And sell juice to cancer patients for the sole purpose of curing their cancer. This didn't happen. This is what's called in the legal world defamation. If you were a public figure, you should probably be sued for this, because there is no fucking charitability in this sentence that you could read it and be like, this is true-ish. Like, it's mostly wrong. There's so much controversy surrounding the guy that you could literally just Google his name. It's a shame you didn't do that, mate, because if you did, you'd probably have an idea of what you're talking about. And obviously people are upvoting this. Nobody's fact-checking it. It's like what I talked about not long ago with the Ion 2 thing, where people just see something, say something, repeat the thing, nobody fact checks, everyone upvotes it, and then that becomes the truth. Because why would it not? There's nobody pushing back on it, other than the delusional people. And let me just be very clear. Ashes of Creation, one of the reasons I stopped covering the game originally is because the community is fucking insufferable. It's one of the worst communities I've ever experienced. It makes Star Citizen look reasonable, right? Some of the firsts in content creation for me was taken. My virginity was taken by Ashes of Creation, because I'd make a video being like, yeah, I don't like this. I think it's bad. I don't agree that Steven's doing the greatest things here. I don't think Steven's the best thing since sliced bread. And it was the first ever time I'd like release a video and then go live on my Twitch stream. And then somebody would show up from Ashes of Creation, one of the community members, and repeatedly tell me they wanted me to die, and say some incredibly personal things that I talked about in videos that they could only know if they'd watched a bunch of my videos and knew a lot about me. And then I'd ban them and they'd keep coming back over and over again for months and just harassing the fuck out of me for no reason other than I said I didn't have any interest in covering the game anymore for reasons we'll go into in this video. And it was the first ever time a content creator had like publicly tried to come at me and talk shit about me while us never having a conversation ever. Like, they just have a weird enclave of like cult-like members. But obviously when you have a community like that, there are still some of those people there, but they turn on the game and they turn on the people very quickly when things don't go their way, because that's the kind of people they are. And I think Steven is experiencing this now because the community is very much at his throat. The people who used to defend him for everything and lie and misrepresent and call everyone else a liar and a hater, a lot of those people now are against Steven. So it's kind of backfired in a way, having this super hardcore fan base. But why I say that is, you know, this doesn't reflect on Steven personally. I don't think it's his fault that a bunch of these people hold him up as some kind of like golden god, or at least they used to. The reason I say that is because on one hand, you have these fucking deranged haters who make things up like this guy and just put it into the public domain as fact. And that's incredibly wrong to do. And then on the other hand, you have these like cultish fanboys who will say the exact opposite. Will say nothing happened, he didn't do anything, like this is all completely incorrect, devoid of any context or nuance. And obviously the truth is somewhere in the middle. Like, you can see this guy here, he's one of the people. Dude had an online shop that sold a ton of shit, true, and some MLM garbage was one of the things. Yeah, it's not that the guy was recruiting people to sell it, which is how an MLM works. Yeah, sad fucks in here act like they disown their moms for selling Avon, lol. Not the same thing even remotely. I guess that makes you the sad fuck. Or because they can't afford the beta entry. So basically his issue is everyone's lying about it because they don't have $100 to spend on Ashes beta. Lol, you're poor, that's why you hate this. Which is fucking moronic, to say the least. Worth noting, Sharon is his mom, yet. So the provided document is lumping their wealth together when it's really his mom who's seeded in MLM. So is Steven, so is his whole family. I guess whole family might be hyperbolic, but his immediate family, they are all involved in MLM and probably still are to this day. I've not checked in on it, so take that with a pinch of salt. But I remember seeing a couple of years ago they were still involved in this. So of course people are coming in to push back on this by again being factually wrong. He ran an MLM that sold cancer curing juice to cancer patients, snake oil. Let's cut through the noise. Let's get to the nitty gritty, get to the facts. What did Steven actually do? According to Steven ran a website called the Sharif Family or something like that, which the domain is still active, but you're not going to find anything on Wayback Machine or anything for this to fact check any of these claims. I've tried. Maybe somebody that's better at that can find it and let me know. But basically, he ran a website in the early 2000s where he was selling a bunch of nutritional stuff, one of them being Zango. What is Zango? Zango is a company that is a problem, in my opinion. And if you had anything to do with this, you're not clean in any way. I guess we'll get into that in a second. But Steven is quoted factually as saying this. Asked by Massively OP, people are talking about your background, and while some of it appears baseless, Sharif himself has admitted that the formerly participated in a non-gaming multi-level marketing business before moving on to real estate. He characterized that company as legal. Detractors are saying it was tantamount to a scam. What he says is when I was 18, I was recruited to join an MLM company called Zango. Who recruited him? His mother. His mother recruited him to Zango. Zango sold nutritional products, a fruit juice and vitamins. I started a website store to sell these products to customers. My website was very successful. Zango is still around today as a company after 14 years, I think, has done over 3 billion in sales and is open in 50 plus countries. Yes, they're multi-level marketing. I understand people dislike MLM because some companies focus on recruitment of people instead of sales as a product. But companies like Avon, blah, 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 basically defended multi-level marketing. Now, I want to just contradict Steven here. Because what he's describing here is a pyramid scheme, right? If you Google this, like, I've covered scams in the financial world for a long time as well on the main channel, if you've never watched that content. Multi-level marketing scheme, pyramid scheme. These two things are almost functionally identical, except for one factor. Multi-level marketing schemes remain legal in most of the Western world, in most of the world, in fact, because they have a product that they sell and they mostly focus on that product. As soon as they focus on recruitment only and the product is like just there as a front, the product is like kind of a scam because it's too expensive or they just don't care about selling it, and it's mostly about just recruiting people in ad nauseum to kick money back up to you from the recruitment fees. That's when it becomes an illegal pyramid scheme. That is the only factor. Not to say that you can't be somebody in an MLM who focuses on recruitment predominantly, and therefore it being functionally identical, other than the main company doesn't focus on recruiting people only. That is the differentiator. So when he says, I understand people dislike MLM because some companies focus on recruitment of people instead of sales of a product, what he's describing there is a pyramid scheme. If they focus on the recruitment, it's a pyramid scheme, which is illegal. A multi-level marketing scheme is, again, functionally identical, other than they sell a product mostly. But obviously, if you're recruiting, these things are incredibly predatory. Do some people earn a lot of money? Yeah. Are some of them legit? The products that they sell, maybe, but by and large, they are just garbage you could buy anywhere else, and it is very cultish. Like, multi-level marketing is predatory and cultish, and it's bad. People don't like these for good reason, right? So when Steven says when he was 18, if you look Steven's age up, Steven was working with Zango, selling their products at a time where Zango was basically being investigated for essentially selling themselves as a drug, because Zango was claiming things like this. 2006 warning letter by US FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, had illegally used marketing materials to promote mangosteen juice, claiming more than 20 human health benefits, including antifungal, antiviral, anti-cancer, anti-ulcer. This thing was a miracle drug, but it wasn't a drug because it wasn't tested as a drug. And obviously, this was talked about at some point as like, oh, it was just the distributors that were doing this. It was the main people that ran the fucking company. So this was like a top-down thing. FDA obtained brochures promoting the health benefits of mangosteens and mangosteen juice through contact information provided at a seminar at which representatives of your firm, David and Joe Morton, made presentations designed to recruit distributors to Zango. So the FDA went undercover to this big fucking Zango presentation where David and Joe Morton, which you can look up who made this company, key people, Joe Morton, Gordon Morton, these people are like the top boys of the fucking, they're the Andrew Tates, the top G's of the company. They were the ones at this place promoting this thing. Brochures that said things like, you can drink 22 reasons to drink a mangosteen, anti-inflammatory, significantly reduce inflammation in the targeted neck, back and knee pain, proven to significantly reduce nerve pain as well, anti-Parkinson's, anti-Alzheimer's, and other forms of dementia, prevents and arrests fungus, antifungal, blood sugar lowering, lowers blood fat, eye care, lowers fevers, viral fighters, prevents gum disease, prevents cancer. Like, these are things that they were claiming for the product. And they were doing this as a company while Steven was selling this. So was Steven going to the ward where people were having chemotherapy and being like, right, you've got this fucking terrible thing that's killing you. Buy this juice for $2,000 and you'll be miracle cured. No. Steven was running a website that had this product on it. And if you look it up, his mother is like featured on the YouTube page of Zango. She's like talking at conferences. Like, she's a big name in this company at that time, which obviously by extension, so is Steven, because he was working with her and selling the product on the website with her. So Steven was recruited into this and he sold this thing. Did he do it in the way people are characterizing? No, there is some nuance here, but at the same time, he was selling a thing that pretty much everybody that reads this or looks at this objectively, it's there. I'm showing you. This is the FDA saying this, not me. You know, they were banned in Italy by the Antitrust and Consumer Protection Authority because the overly broad health claims, as well as possible violations of pyramid scheme laws. This is just a thing that happened. This is the truth. You can't get around this one. And the claim that Steven wasn't recruiting people, you can go and find posts about this where people have dug it up. My young son came home as a gal who knew him through school, asked to talk to him about Zango. When he met her, there was a guy there who showed him his nice car and watches. He came home, told me about his new opportunity, where he was going to the meeting that week. When he came home for the meeting, he talked about how he could make a lot of money by selling a drink, and he was so excited because they'd give him a whole area to sign up his friends. He sponsored the little 20-year-old girl that signed him up, was going to take the big city north. I Googled it and bingo, it's a scam. I showed him that people had been talking about signing up young college kids, getting them to these meetings and then taking their money right away with some kit. Asked him about the drink and he knew nothing about it, but said he could make $2,000 a week and get a much better car. They really liked him and was going to give him big sales territory. His hometown with all his friends that he could sign up. Wow, what young teenage boy wouldn't take that deal? I called Zango, but they said the kit had already shipped and the money would be taken out of the account, blah, blah, blah. Today he received a welcome letter and 3 sponsor names. Names are listed after their title, your sponsor, your sponsors, and the upline sponsor, whose name is Stephen J. Sharif. What a pyramid scheme they have going on. The company needs to be shut down. So what an upline is in the multi-level marketing and pyramid scheme world is somebody who recruits people. As evidence of this, you can see in the video I recorded before but never posted, network marketing with 500k Zango, Sharon Sharif. And this is a woman sat there talking about how her and her family had been uplined by Stephen Sharif's mother, Sharon. Thanks to Lisa, Sharon, Mark, Tim, and Stephen being Stephen Sharif, for helping me get back into network marketing and treating it like a business, seeking others who want to learn. This is a thing that was going on. Now, for clarity's sake, when I asked Stephen about him uplining people, aka recruiting them into the multi-level marketing business, Stephen specifically said this: I did not recruit people, never appeared at conventions, never ran recruitment tools, and Zango sales made up less than 2% of my net worth. And Stephen says people can dislike MLM's fair criticism, but the narrative that I, quote, sold cancer juice to dying children is malicious and factually false. Obviously, I never made that claim, and I'm never going to because that's not my opinion. That being said, Stephen's mother was recruiting people, including him. There's claims of Stephen being the upline, like the person who recruited somebody who recruited somebody who recruited somebody. As you can see here, your sponsor, your sponsor's sponsor, and then upline sponsor, whose name is Stephen J. Sharif. Can I prove this to be true? Can I go back in time to fucking 2004 or whatever and find these people and talk to them? Probably not. But either way, his family was recruiting people, and there are claims that Stephen was doing so as well. So make of that what you will. When he says he didn't, that being said, that's what people are saying on both sides, and that's what actually happened. Stephen had a website where he sold this thing, and this thing had real problems. Like, this thing was saying things it shouldn't have been saying, that was illegal to say, that the FDA said, you got to fucking stop saying this, otherwise there's going to be big problems. The issue here is that to say Stephen did this really bad thing, you've got to make assumptions. The first assumption would be he knew Zango was claiming the product did this thing and then actively played into the false advertisement to push the product to people who were then hoodwinked by the snake oil miracle drug. The second assumption is that he was indeed recruiting people. Again, I personally don't believe Stephen as a personal opinion when he says he didn't, because I've seen video and heard voice recordings of his brother, his mother, recruiting people, as well as the post I showed you earlier. It would be odd for Stephen to be recruited to an MLM by his family who recruit people, and then himself not recruit people, despite it being such a large part of what makes these people money. Especially since the video I showed you personally thanks him by name, as well as his family members, for helping to upline her and her family, which means even if Stephen wasn't going out of his way to recruit people, he was there as part of the family package when recruitment was ongoing. That being said, I can't say with certain fact he did know about Zango, and I can't say 100% factually he personally recruited people into this predatory business, or that at his age he even knew MLM was predatory. Also, he was a young man who was essentially pulled into this life by his mother. I don't subscribe to the opinion that I can brand somebody as a lifelong piece of shit scammer because they may have done something that I can't definitively prove like 20 years ago. No matter what, obviously MLMs are shitty, they're incredibly shady, and his family is deeply connected to those businesses. But there's simply not enough information out there to make crazy claims like he went out of his way to specifically try to scam people who were dying of cancer. That is fucking insane to say. Now I guess let's actually talk about Ashes Creation, the game coming to Steam. For clarity's sake, I don't play Ashes of Creation. I have no fucking interest in playing this game. The reason I have no interest in playing this game is because I followed it for so long and did so much coverage on the game that I just got burnt out on yet another unreleased MMO. Is this even going to release while I'm still alive? Like, is it ever going to release? And also, I have a sour taste in my mouth from A, this community, and B, from like the whole drama surrounding the game, and some things that they're doing with the game that I absolutely cannot get on board with. I have real problems with the consumer aspect and like the trust aspect of creators and this game and Steven, and in general, like money that's owed and the narrative surrounding this and what it is. I guess let's be more specific. The big problem I have is, you'll remember Narc, right? Narc kind of went off the deep end, said some things I agree with, said some things I don't agree with, had some good points, had some fucking terrible points, and sort of like torched his goodwill within the Ashes of community, Ashes of Creation community, and then vanished to go and hopefully be successful doing something else that makes him happier. Apparently he's doing other YouTube videos now. Good on him. Congratulations. Hopefully that's a better fit than doing Ashes content. But either way, some of the things Narc said, one of the things I absolutely agree with, he said, you can't trust Ashes of Creation creators, content creators. Anyone who makes Ashes of Creation videos, you cannot trust them. I agree with him. Like, and some of my friends make Ashes of Creation videos. And the reason he said this, and the reason I agree with him, is because, and Steven disagrees with this, I'll tell you why he disagrees with it in a second. Any video from a content creator talking about Ashes of Creation where they say use my referral code, you should treat that as if they said, I'm sponsored to make this video. Why should you do that? Not a lot of people know that Ashes of Creation has a monetary kickback in perpetuity for people signing up with their referral code. Not many people know this. I don't know why, because it's on their website. You can just go read it. It like, when people use a referral code for a content creator, they get tied to their account forever, and then like some percent, I think it's like 15 or something, I'm not going to go and fact check myself, but it's some percent of money that person spends on their account forever is kicked back in Intrepid books, Intrepid books, to the content creator. And that content creator can convert those Intrepid books to real money on a quarterly basis after the game launches, if the game launches. And that's my problem. One, I don't think content creators in general, I don't say this because I'm trying to like beef with people. Like, Lazy Peon is a friend of mine. I like Craig. Like, I have no bad words to say about him. I've met him in person multiple times. He's a cool guy. I've had this conversation with him. I've had this conversation with other creators. I hope Canon won't mind me saying, but I had the same conversation with him when he was in content creator programs for some of these Eastern games that he's excited for. And then when he makes a video, people call him a shill and a liar, because people see the financial incentive when you're associated with a company to lie or misrepresent, or, kid gloves, to pull your punches when criticizing or talking about something, or to just present only the good stuff because it's financially beneficial for you to do so. I used to do these things as well. I worked with Gamigo. They scammed me. I worked with some other companies. I even had an Ashes of Creation referral code that I used very briefly for like a few months. But eventually, once I started taking, my responsibility, I guess, as a content creator, nobody gives a fuck. Doesn't win you any brownie points. Nobody cares. People are still going to call you a liar and a shill and say you were paid for things anyway. So it doesn't matter, other than for me personally. What I realized was that I couldn't give fair, accurate criticism or know that there was no like bias subconsciously or whatever without not using these things anymore. So I drew a line in the sand, which was, if I'm going to be paid by a company, I have to say I'm paid by the company because that's legally required. And I can't have any of these like behind the scenes connections or affiliate codes for something that I am going to talk about in a critical manner and try to inform people on. I obviously have an affiliate with Gamer Subs. I use their products. I use their products all the fucking time. And I'm not making videos talking about like their competitors, right? There's no conflict of interest there. I'm very open with the fact I have an affiliate with them, and I very rarely even massively promote it, like 10 seconds at the end of some videos. Never even made of it an ad for them on like a main channel video or whatever. But when I know some of these content creators are owed tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars, if they make a video saying, let's talk about Ashes of Creation, knowing that they stand to earn large sums of money if people sign up with their thing, which they're only going to do if they're excited for the game. I do think no matter what, that is going to give somebody a slanted perspective or bias, which is the same thing you have when a company pays you money to play their game or present their game in some way. It's just the case. You know, it is what it is. Plus, you're not going to come in and like start fucking swinging your hands like trying to knock out Stephen J. Sharif when you know he owes you so much money, because, you know, what if he doesn't give you the money? So that's where I agree with Narc. The content creator program is a problem. If you're watching creators that have these codes, you should treat it as if it's like a sponsored puff piece, because it kind of has the same fucking attachments, right? The financial attachments and the biases. But that's not my big problem, because I don't watch those videos. I don't really care. And other than people should probably be informed that this is a thing. My problem is that a lot of those content creators signed up for this thing when they thought the game was going to be releasing in like 2 years' time. And a lot of them are owed money that is deflating in value. If you were owed $10 5 years ago, does that $10 have the same spending power as it will do in 3 or 4 or 5 years when this game releases? No. And also, what's saying that the game even ever releases? What's saying that the Steam Early Access launch isn't Steven's way of being like, oh, it's released now? Again, let's talk about that in a minute, because it kind of fucking is. That's kind of what this is, in a way. And what should be looked at, by the way, if you want to hold people accountable for something that is consistent. But my problem is, the only thing preventing Steven from paying out these people is the fact that he said to me he will refund everybody if the game doesn't launch, which is like, I don't believe you, bro. Like, I've heard so many people say so much ridiculous shit in this industry over the last 5 years doing YouTube. I don't believe. It's in Kickstarter, by the way. He says it in the Kickstarter at the very bottom. And finally, in the case that Ashes of Creation does not launch, we promise to refund all backers in full. Now, I don't know, because I've not asked it. I did send him a message earlier, but he's probably asleep or something at this point. I don't know whether this means he's going to refund only the Kickstarter people, which would be how many millions of dollars? $3.2 million. Or if he's going to refund everyone who bought packages on the website, who is then now going to buy on Steam. Is he going to refund all these people out of his own pocket if the game doesn't reach 1.0? Because if he doesn't, he's undoubtedly going to keep money in his pocket that was only sold because the content creators sold it, right? Because again, this money's already come out of these people's pockets. Content creator makes video, person signs up with their link, person spends money goes from their account to Stephen J. Sharif's bank account for Ashes of Creation, the company, for Intrepid Studios. Content creator is owed the money, content creator never gets the money. This is my problem. So a lot of these content creators, some of them are dead, some of them no longer make content, some of them could really use the money. The money is not worth what it was when they earned it. And Steven is the arbiter of when the game releases, but then also he says he won't release the funds to the content creators until like the next quarter after release, like 1 quarter later. So in that quarter, if the game doesn't do well, if he ever says the game's 1.0, do they ever get their money? Like, I don't know, bro. There's a bunch of shit around this that I just don't like. He could pay people out if he wanted to. He's not going to. He said he's not going to. He said the reason he's not going to is because he's going to refund everyone if it doesn't release. Don't believe you. And also because he said you wouldn't get it till 1.0. So he just won't change his mind. Fair enough. You know, that's my pet peeve that nobody's going to care about. People are going to say, oh, you just want money that you're owed. I've said for them to delete the money that they owe me. I don't give a fuck. I've not used it in years. Couldn't care less. Not talking about this for my sake. Talking about it for the sake of other people that aren't going to bring this up because they're owed a bunch of money. And I think that's unfair personally. But, you know, nobody's going to care because big content creator doesn't get money that they're owed. Oh, woe is me. Like, obviously, the community isn't going to give a fuck about this in general. For the record, Stephen did get back to me while I was waiting to upload this video, so I figured I'd drop in an edit. He did say, and I'll quote here, while the statement was made specifically during Kickstarter and is specific to that audience, meaning people who backed on Kickstarter would get a refund if the game didn't launch, according to Stephen, if by some chance Ashes did not come to release, refunds would be considered for all backers. I would note that the game is very far along and the likelihood of not releasing is slim to none. So What he's saying is that everyone who backed on Kickstarter is guaranteed a refund, and that he would consider refunding people who'd backed on the website and, of course, through Steam if the game was to not release. As I'm saying this, Nemo's screaming in the background, so I don't think she believes it either, but this is what he's saying, so there you go. Now, obviously, the problem is that Ashes of Creation is not ready to release, right? We know this. That's why it's coming to early access. That's why this game is saying, don't buy this unless you want to test the game. The game's still in alpha, blah, blah, blah. But the problem is this game is going to operate as if it's a released game, as if this is a live launch of a product. How do we know this? Well, because they've confirmed that, number one, they're lowering the price, by the way. According to this anyway, this shows that the price is going to be $49.99 on Steam. There's going to be 1 month game time included when the game launches, if the game launches. They're going to have a sale from the 11th to the 25th for 15% off, so you can get it for the low price of $42.99 for the unfinished, maybe never finished MMO. And also, they're going to have a rotated cosmetic item store. So this alpha for a game that was kickstarted fucking 8 years... When was this? This was kickstarted in 2017. So 8 years ago, this game was kickstarted, and now they're going to early access for $40, and we'll have a cash shop in the game for an alpha early access game. This is a released product, guys. This is the launch of the game. Like, you can disagree with me. You can say, oh, it's still an alpha because they're saying it's an alpha. The minute you start selling the game for a box price with fucking a cosmetic cash shop built into the game that they're going to be editing and adding to, you've released a live service game. It's launched. That's it. Like, no more kid gloves. No more, oh, it's an alpha, guys. This is a launched game. I'm very comfortable saying that. You can completely disagree with me, but this is functioning like a launched product would do. Only when it's fully finished, then you've got to pay a sub as well. Like, so just more monetization. It's just an extra step of monetization that marks it being released, other than more content, obviously, and more polish, presumably. I don't know why they're doing this. As far as I can tell, they're not struggling for money because the company isn't laying off employees. They're not, like, downsizing. They appear to still be hiring. So I don't know if they're doing this because of, like, marketing or whatever, but I've been told they're doing it because they want more testers, which makes no fucking sense. I said this last time. They said, oh, we're selling the alpha now for fucking $100 or $125 or whatever it was. And they're doing it now because they want more testers. And my point was, like, if you want more testers, fucking open the game up for free and you will get more testers. And I was told ad nauseum, repeatedly, by fans, fans of the game, that opening the game up for free would be bad, because the cheaper the game is, the more likely you get bad testers or testers that won't commit to the game. But now they're selling the game for $40 with a cash shop, and these apparently for much less money are not going to be lower quality testers. I don't understand. Like, there's a lot of contradictions here. There's a lot of things that don't make sense. That being said, this is going to be a nightmare. Like, this game is going to get absolutely fucked into the ground by negative reviews, rightfully so, because it's an alpha for a game that's been in development for 8+ years, charging money that for like a AAA game almost. Obviously, a lot of AAA games now are like $60, $70. But then also with a cosmetic cash shop in a completely unfinished game, that's absolutely not ready for mass market gameplay. And I think this is going to hurt the project long term, because people are going to, again, rightfully so, put a lot of negative reviews on this and talk about it being a scam. And people are then going to look it up, and they're going to see comments like this calling Stephen Sharif a fucking snake oil salesman scammer. And I think it's going to be bad. And you can tell it's going to be bad because even in the Ashes of Creation community, people are upset about this. The predominant, like, prevailing sentiment is, what the fuck are they doing? Like, why are they doing this? Is there money problems? Are they trying to, like, hoodwink people? Are they trying to get the New World population in here to earn some extra cheddar? What's going on? Because the game's absolutely not ready. Like, if the fans of the game, these are the biggest hardcore fans of the game, are saying this, it's a problem. And it seems like one that's kind of popped up out of nowhere. Like, people only found out about this in the studio apparently a couple of weeks ago. So people are saying they're out of money. This is one last cash grab. I don't think that's what it is. I think they are and always have, by the way. Steven is a shrewd businessman. I said this years ago. I didn't like the taste in my mouth when Steven was like, there was a big conversation around MMOs being dead and dying and games being cancelled and the genre's in a bad spot. And then Steven showed up and started going on the live stream of every big content creator and saying all the right things and getting a bunch of people hyped and involved in the game. He was on Asmongold stream, Shroud stream, Summit stream. Like, he was talking to all these creators and getting this massive hype train rolling for a game that people shouldn't be hyped for until much later in development. Like, people shouldn't have been giving this game $500 for alpha keys. People shouldn't have been buying the many thousands of dollars of cosmetics for this game that's not finished yet. This is not a thing people should have been doing, in my opinion, in my mind. Especially because Steven said repeatedly, I'm fully funding the project myself 100%. I don't even need your money. And yet goes out of his way to sell a bunch of like FOMO cosmetics and now a cash shop in a fucking unreleased game on well, technically released and in my mind completely. I'm going to treat this game as if it's done, by the way. Like, I'm going to cover the game when it goes onto early access on Steam, and I'm going to treat it like a fully released game. Why am I going to do that? Because it fucking is at this stage. If you're selling cosmetics in your live service game, I'm going to treat your game as if it's done, and I'm going to review it without the fucking kid gloves of, oh, it's still an alpha. No, it's a paid product that you're charging people for, that you're monetizing. And that's how everybody should look at it. But yeah, there's a million and one problems with this. And I stopped covering this game because I'm so not arsed with following something for fucking 8+ years. And it's still like 3, 4, 5 years away from being finished, in my opinion, if it ever even gets there. And I know for a fact Steven takes this type of criticism to heart and he doesn't like it. And I agree with him. It's not nice, right? When people make videos like this, when people on social media are talking about you like this. I think the timing of releasing this on Steam is probably to capitalize on the New World stuff and all the recent MMO cancellations to make money. I think that's what he's doing personally. But, you know, I think this is going to backfire. But obviously people are going to think I have some kind of like beef with Steven. I don't like Steven. I think he's a piece of shit or whatever else. Or I don't like the game. I hate the game. I don't care about any of this shit. None of this is personal for me. I don't even dislike Steven. I've spoke to Steven numerous times over the years. But I absolutely have no fucking personal beef with anybody involved in this at all. But I will say Steven is going to take a lot of this to heart. And this is going to be very negative for him and people on the team, which is unfortunate. It always sucks being me. Like, oh, woe is me again. But it always sucks having like some kind of personal interaction with these human beings and knowing that they're humans and interfacing with them. Sounds like a very human thing to say, right? Interfacing with the human beings. And then making videos like this, knowing full well this is going to hurt. Like, hearing this is going to hurt. The backlash from this, the response from this is going to hurt those real humans that I have some form of connection to. And I know Steven at the moment is not doing super well with criticism, because you can see here a lot of armchair developers going on here with the full embrace of Dunning-Kruger effect to boot. I get people are not happy with their expectations of phase 3, blah, blah, blah. What I want to highlight is somebody prominent in the community responded to him and said, brother, let's not forget it's your first time doing this. With all due respect, you are in fact still learning, and while we are here with you on it, you can't come at people like that, especially in your own Discord. You, not us, chose the open development model. Love heart. Reasonable thing to say that maybe years ago would have been met with silence at the minimum, or like, yeah, you're right. Steven banned this guy and responded, I can actually love heart, and banned him from the server for what he just posted. He did get unbanned, and the guy said all matters were settled, blah blah blah, grace was extended in both directions, we move forward amicably. But you can tell, like, this wouldn't have happened years ago, and Steven is probably getting bogged down in the you know, the weight of the community, so to speak, especially with now people turning on him. And this is obvious, because a lot of the content creators that started covering Ashes, they're all gone. They've all made their exit videos saying essentially fuck Ashes, we're done. The game is doing X, Y, and Z wrong, don't agree with these decisions, and moved on. A lot of them are just not around anymore, and this will continue to happen. This is what's happening in the community with players as well. And years and years of this is going to get you down. I know this because I've fucking dealt with it as a YouTuber for 5 years. It's not for everybody. and in fact even the most fucking robust of personalities will absolutely be impacted by this. But having said that, with the game releasing on Steam, expect for this and what you're experiencing, the negativity within the community, the negativity to personally Stephen, is going to magnify by 1,000-fold. This is not going to release to like positive reviews. This is not going to release to a bunch of people reasonably coming in and saying, oh, I've looked at this, it's a very nuanced topic and here's my balanced opinion as an adult. They're going to come in, they're going to say, what the fuck have I just paid for? This is dog shit. Oh my God, it's a scam. Why? It's an MMO. I can't get my... Another thing, by the way, they're going to be using Steam's refund policy for this game. So previously, if you bought Ashes of Creation, you could get a very reasonable refund for the game after testing enough of an MMORPG, an unfinished MMORPG. But they're going to be using the Steam one if you buy on Steam. So some fucking Timmy is going to load up Steam and be like, oh, new MMORPG, I've just quit New World because New World's fucked and closing down. I'll buy this. Oh, it's a bit rough early, but you know, it's an MMO. I've got to play at least 50 hours to figure out whether or not I like it. And then they're going to get like 5 or 6 hours in and be like, this is fucked. It's buggy. It's fucking unfinished. There's not enough content. I don't like the game. Go to get a refund and they can't. And they've spent $40+. They're going to open it up and look at the cash shop and see all the skins for an unfinished game. Then they're going to Google Ashes of Creation. Who makes Ashes of Creation? Look at the social media posts. Oh, Stephen J. Sharif. He's a scammer. He's this, he's that. He's the biggest piece of shit in the world. This is all going to go badly. I've seen this a million times. This is exactly what's going to happen. It's a bad idea. The amount of short-term money you're going to get from this is absolutely not going to fucking compensate for the amount of negativity that's going to come from this, in my opinion. Could be totally wrong, but yeah, that's my whole opinion on this. I don't think I've got anything left to say, to be honest. I could go check my notes, but yeah, I think we'll leave it there. I'm sure some of the fucking more diehard Enclave of the Ashes of Creation cultists are going to come and do what they usually do on this one. But for people who actually think I'm not like some kind of evil hater liar about Ashes and I hate Stephen or blah, 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 I don't care about the game. I've not thought Ashes was the second coming of Jesus Christ like people have been saying for years. If the game comes out and it does well, cool. If it doesn't, I didn't spend any money on it. I never would have spent any money on it. I don't care. I'm not trying to earn money off of Ashes of Creation. Like, I stopped using my code specifically for this years ago, like in like 2021, 2022, maybe even before that. When this game releases on Steam, I will absolutely make a review video. I'll play the game. I'll give it all the fucking... I'll go in with an open mind, a blank slate, and I'll really try my best to be objective about it and look at the game for what it is. But who knows? Maybe the game's much better than I've been led to believe, and I'm going to come out and say, oh, actually, if it gets much better than this, it'll be amazing, but it's already great, and it's already worth the box price right now, and actually, the cosmetics in the cash shop are fine. This is all okay for an unreleased game. I doubt it, but there we go. Overall, this comes down to a simple question at the end of it. Is Ashes of Creation a scam? I don't think so, personally. There's tons of people working at the company being paid to make what they believe to be the next big MMORPG. Even if we could prove that Stephen is all the bad things that people say he is on social media, that still wouldn't make the game suddenly turn into a scam. But I do feel like it's important to point out, I don't like a lot of what Stephen does with Ashes. I think it makes no sense at all when Stephen claims they don't need money, it's totally funded, and then at every turn try to nickel and dime the community with FOMO cosmetics and hundreds of dollars on alpha and beta access. I think Stephen tried to cash in on the Battle Royale hype with Apocalypse all those years ago, and he's now trying to cash in on the heat death of the MMORPG world with this Steam release. I don't think the overall development of the game is a scam, as many people on social media do. Nor do I think Stephen's the worst person on the planet who did all these horrible things, because we simply can't know unless there's some evidence out there I'm unaware of. I do understand if people don't trust him because of his days in an MLM and his family's background. That's a reasonable opinion. But there are plenty of things to actually criticize Ashes and Stephen for that have nothing to do with his past and everything to do with the game currently. After so many years of development, the rhetoric around game funding, the constant selling of stuff in an unreleased game, the content creator program, and much, much more. Thanks for watching as always, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Oh yeah, and check out my affiliate, GamerSups. You can go buy some waifu-inspired merch or some gamer powder, stick it in a drink. You know, you can have caffeinated, uncaffeinated, loads of flavors. They're even doing carbonated canned drinks now, which are fucking straight, super hot fire. If you use my code, you'll get a discount. I'll get a kickback, win-win, and I'll see you next time. Stay safe out there. We're out. Peace.